We have a new Frank's motion by the defense. Let's get into it. State of Indiana, County of Carroll, State of Indiana versus Richard M. Allen. Defendants Richard Allen, fourth Frank's motion based on newly disclosed evidence and request for hearing. Comes now the defendant Richard Allen by counsel Andrew Baldwin, Bradley Rosie, and Jennifer Auger, and for this motion to compel states as follows. General background. 1. On September 18, 2023, Mr. Allen by counsel filed his first Frank's notice, herein Frank's 1, which included a 136-page memorandum in support of notice and which detailed the following. A. Certain evidence that Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett failed to include in his search warrant application for the residence of Richard Allen under cause number 08CO1-2210-MC-84, herein search warrant. B. Certain evidence that was detailed in his search warrant applicated for the search warrant that was false, and C. Evidence that law enforcement had acted in an intentional manner on multiple instances, attempting to conceal evidence from the defense and failing to tell the truth under oath concerning certain evidence. 2. Mr. Allen by counsel incorporates his first Frank's notice and memorandum filed on September 18, 2023, as if fully outlined herein. 3. On October 3, 2023, Mr. Allen by counsel filed his second Frank's notice, herein Frank's 2, detailing how the prosecution and law enforcement had attempted to conceal the identity of a Purdue professor whose testimony contradicted that of law enforcement officers Tony Liggett and Jerry Hallman of Indiana State Police. This notice was provided as a supplement to the first Frank's notice in order to bolster the defense contention that the state of Indiana and law enforcement were acting intentionally and or with reckless disregard for the truth to further support the request for a Frank's hearing. 4. Mr. Allen by counsel incorporates his second Frank's notice filed on October 3, 2023 as a fully set out herein. 5. On March 13, 2024, Mr. Allen by counsel filed his third Frank's notice, herein Frank's 3, based on evidence recently provided by the prosecution. Frank's 3 detailed the following information omitted from the search warrant. A. At least 3 persons were in or around the crime scene at the time of the murders were allegedly taking place, and none of the owners of the phones had any connection to Richard Allen. B. Purdue professor Jeffrey Turco wrote in a report provided to Unified Command that the markings, referring to the configuration of branches on the girls' bodies, constitute an inscription inspired by Norse runes or modern recreation thereof is quite plausible. 6. Mr. Allen by counsel incorporates his third Frank's motion filed on March 13, 2024 as if fully set out herein. Additional facts. 7. On Friday, April 26, 2024, the prosecution provided numerous documents to Mr. Allen's counsel as a result of the motion to compel and motion for sanctions filed April 23, 2024. 8. Contained in the documents provided by the prosecution are pages 2 and 3 of an incident report authored by Steve Mullen of the Delphi Police Department. 9. These 2 pages indicate that Steve Mullen contacted Sergeant Mitch Plotcher of the Indiana State Police at approximately 9 p.m. on February 13, 2017, to assist in acquiring precise location information of a cell phone using some of their more technical assets. It appears that the last communication with Sergeant Plotcher was prior to 1 a.m. on February 14, 2017. 10. The 2 pages provided to Mr. Allen's counsel contain the following summary of a conversation between Steve Mullen and Sergeant Blotcher of the Indiana State Police. Quote, Sergeant Blotcher advised, according to his evaluation of the data provided by AT&T, the last contact event between the cell phone and the tower located at Wells Street was at 17:44:50 military hours. He advised that according to the records provided by AT&T, there had been no contact with the phone since then. Sergeant Blocher advised that his interpretation of the information which we were receiving from AT&T indicated that the cell phone was no longer in the area or no longer in working condition. He advised that since there had been no change in the every 15-minute update we were receiving, and the last known time had not changed since 1744 military hours. 11. The conversation above appears to have occurred prior to 1 a.m. on February 14, 2017. On November 9, 2023, the prosecution provided Mr. Allen's counsel with evidence of 44 pings generated by AT&T to locate Libby German's phone, hereinafter referred to as pings. 13. There were 2 pings from February 13, 2017, and the pings provided to defense counsel, one at 5:48 p.m. and 7:16 p.m. 14. Mr. Allen's counsel did not learn of additional pings which took place every 15 minutes on February 13, 2017, until the discovery disclosure on April 26, 2024. Defense counsel still does not have the additional pings from February 13, 2017, or the early morning of February 14, 2017. Pursuant to the information which the prosecution disclosed to Mr. Allen's counsel, the first ping on February 14, 2017 was sent to Libby German's phone at 5:39:41 a.m. 15. More importantly, is Sergeant Blocher's statement that his interpretation of the information which they were receiving from AT&T indicated that the cell phone was no longer in the area or no longer in working condition. 16. The prosecution's entire case rests on the idea that Libby German and Abby Williams were on or near the south side of the Monon High Bridge at 2:13 p.m., and that Richard Allen killed them between that time and when a witness allegedly saw a man in blue jeans and a blue jacket on 300 North shortly before 3:57 p.m. In other words, assuming the prosecution's evidence is accurate, Libby German and Abby Williams were murdered after 2:13 p.m. and before 3:57 p.m. on February 13, 2017. 17. Additionally, assuming this timeline is accurate, the prosecution would have the girls between the Monon High Bridge and the location where the bodies were found from 2:13 p.m. on February 13, 2017, the bridge video, until they were found at approximately 12:15 p.m. on February 14, 2017. 18. At the time the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German were found, Libby German's phone was under Libby German's shoe, both of which were under the body of Abby Williams. 19. Assuming the prosecution's timeline is accurate, Libby German's phone was under Libby German's shoe, which was under the body of Abby Williams for some time after 2:13 p.m. on February 13, 2017. Until the bodies were found at approximately 12:15 p.m. on February 14, 2017, and had remained at the location in that condition for the entire time. 20. However, Sergeant Blocher stated on February 13, 2017, that the cell phone was no longer in the area or longer in working condition. 21. There's no way Libby German's cell phone could have been out of the area between 9 p.m. on February 13, 2017 and 1 a.m. on February 14, 2017, if the prosecution's timeline is accurate, because the phone was at the location where the bodies were found that entire time. 22. Assuming the prosecution's timeline is accurate, there is no way that the phone was not in working condition between 9 p.m. on February 13, 2017 and 1 a.m. on February 14, 2017, because we know the phone was on the communicating with the cell phone tower at 4:33 a.m. on February 14, 2017. For the prosecution's timeline to work, the phone had to have been in the same condition from sometime prior to 3:57 p.m. on February 13, 2017, the time the witness sees the man on 300 North, until the time the bodies were found on February 14, 2017. 23. At the time of the search warrant for Mr. Allen's residence, members of the Indiana State Police were also aware that the last ping of Libby German's phone was not at 5:49 p.m. on February 13, 2017, but at 4:35 a.m. on February 14, 2017. 24. Furthermore, it is evident from the data from Libby German's phone that the phone was assessed and connected with the cell phone tower at 4:33 a.m. on February 14, 2017. 25. Had Tony Liggett submitted an affidavit for the search warrant that did not recklessly disregard the truth, it would have included the following. A. When the bodies were found at approximately 2:17 on February 14, 2017, there were sticks and branches which appeared to have been deliberately placed on the bodies. B. FBI Special Agent Nicole Robertson stated that the bodies appeared to have been moved and staged. C. At the time of the murders, Abby Williams was dating Logan Holder. D. Logan Holder is the son of Brad Holder. E. Jerry Holman of the Indiana State Police consulted the Professor Jeffrey Turco of Purdue University. F. Purdue University Jeffrey Turco wrote in a report provided to Unified Command that the markings referring to the configuration of the branches on the girls' bodies constitute an inscription inspired by Norse runes, or modern recreation thereof is quite plausible. G. In 2017, Brad Holder belonged to a group practicing and following Nordic pagan beliefs. H. Brad Holder posted pictures on Facebook mimicking the crime scene. I. Abby Williams and Libby German were killed after 2:13 p.m. and before 3:57 p.m. on February 13, 2017. J. During that time, there were 3 phones in the area where the girls were last seen and the location where the bodies were found. None of these phones belonged to Richard Allen. K. On February 13th and 14th, 2017, law enforcement requested AT&T ping Libby German's phone every 15 minutes. The time of the last ping to Libby German's phone on February 13th, 2017 was 5:44 p.m. And the time of the first ping on February 14th, 2017 was at 4:33 a.m. L. Indiana State Police believed that Libby German's cell phone was either out of the area of the Wells Street Tower or not in working condition between 5:44 p.m. on February 13, 2017 and 4:33 a.m. on February 14, 2017, at which time there was a successful ping to the phone. 26. These omissions are so voluminous and significant that there is no explanation for their omission other than a reckless disregard for the truth. 27. Had Tony Liggett not recklessly withheld pertinent information from his probable cause affidavit on the search warrant, the application would have been denied. Wherefore, Richard Allen, by counsel, respectfully requests that the court set this matter for hearing, grant Mr. Allen's motion, and exclude all of the evidence seized as a result of the search of Richard Allen's home, and for all just and proper relief in the premises. Respectfully submitted, Andrew Baldwin, 17851-41, Bradley Rosie, 23365-09, Jennifer Auger, 21684-41. And that was another Frank's motion filed by the defense. We'll see you next time on Deb's True Crime Notebook. I'm sure it will be soon. Hold on to your hats, people. It's going to be a busy 2 weeks. If you could, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for all notifications. Leave us a comment. We love to hear what you have to say. And share this video with a friend.